Today, we're flying to Big Bob Gibson's Barbecue in Decatur, Alabama. My guest is Kent Hooper, Nashville producer, recording engineer, and overall Renaissance man. This is
Holidays, we're gonna do it.
Lewisburg, Ellington, Mooney 3559 Hotel. Runway 2, departing south. Airspeed. A little wind.
I love it. I'd say we're winning right now.
All right, Kent Hooper, what do you do?
I fly in airplanes with you. No.
Not for money, you don't.
Boy, wouldn't that be great? I am a producer, engineer for the last 28 years in Nashville.
What are some of the most interesting products you've worked on? Give me some career highlights for you.
That's a good question. Probably my favorite part of my work these days is this company called Essential Worship. And they work with well-known worship artists, but what's cool about it is we do the recordings in non-studios. So we'll show up like at a video space. Everything we do is video-based.
Yep.
So we'll show up in a video space, and I'll bring everything, stands, cables, and there's something, I spent most of my career in either engineering or production, building up tracks, and everything is, album-based. And there's something so honest about live performances. And it's not like we're doing live performances in front of a crowd or an audience, but we're capturing everything in the moment.
Yep.
So, like yesterday, we did Phil Wickham and Brandon Lake, who are two of the biggest CCM worship leaders right now.
Are.
What's cool is we show up and we set everything up. And my job is literally just to make all the talent relaxed and have great headphone mixes and just try to get out of the way. We've done them in motel rooms. We have done them. We did a day at Brandon Lake's house, so my control room was his bedroom.
Oh.
It was so much fun.
Yeah.
I love the difference of it.
There's obviously, in any vocation, the better the tools you start with, theoretically, the better the outcome. But there is something really fun about walking into a situation where you have to improvise.
I love it.
And knowing that you've got the skills to make it great, even though it could potentially be a disaster.
Yeah, that tightrope is kind of what keeps me going.
Yeah.
I'll tell you the most fun shoot we did is we were recording a group called Maverick City, and they were on tour, and they were in Denver at the Ball Arena, one of those big, 18,000 seaters.
Yep.
And our job was to capture them before they went on the balcony somewhere in the stadium.
Okay.
And so we started off, hey, it's just going to be piano and one singer, and it ended up drums, 2 keyboards, 20-person choir, 8-person praise team,
and
Kirk Franklin.
You just had to figure it out.
And we had to figure it out. And when you finish that is like the best. It's like terror, and then when it's over, it's magic.
And you did this backstage somewhere?
No, this was on the balcony in the stands.
Oh, my.
It's so cool at 52, and after doing this so long, to have work that still gets me excited to wake up in the morning.
I know what you mean. Some days are like that. Other days, it's like anything else. It's a job.
Yeah.
We're working hard.
But
you're also, there's a very, very acquired and rare skill of being able to record orchestras that you have mastered. Everybody in town knows you're one of the masters of it. What made you decide to learn that part of the skill?
I feel like I'm the epitome of jack of all, master of none. No,
well,
I'm serious.
The people that work with you would fight you on that, but I know what you mean.
But my talent stack's pretty deep. I grew up in a musical family and played piano, got a scholarship to college, I played jazz.
Yeah.
And I also had a pretty strong technical bent from the time I was raised.
Yeah.
So we work with a lot of people that are really great at being technical, and work with a lot of people more often that are insanely creative and cannot figure out how to plug a computer into anything.
Yeah.
And I've been fortunate to kind of be pretty
good at both.
Pretty good at both.
Yep.
So I think just between being raised in a musical family and playing and being technical, I just kind of fell back assward into a lot of things. So to answer your orchestra question, that was never something I ever cared about. But one of my good friends, Philip Kevrin, who is
Genius orchestrator.
Yeah, and he was really responsible for me getting my start just in music by getting me a job at Yamaha right out of college. And he ended up following me out here. So by necessity, I ended up recording orchestra with him a ton. It's the same way that orchestrators can't get better until you sit in front of an orchestra and fall. You just have to do it.
You
It's
gotta
like
make some mistakes.
you could buy the best sample libraries out there, and hey, that sounds great, and you could put it in front of orchestra and it sounds like ass.
Yep.
You know, the only way to get better at the orchestra thing is like
Do it.
just do it.
It's a true art. It's an art that I only recently started to pick up, but so much of it just has to do with, first of all, having musical ears.
Yeah, you got to start. You got to
Start there.
Yeah,
And then having a great sounding room and knowing where to put the mics.
yeah.
That's really the whole thing with orchestra.
It's all of it. I remember the first orc session that I produced, and I didn't engineer because I had never done it. I hired a guy named Terry Christian, who's
Oh gosh,
he's just
legend.
done everything. And I remember just being like, okay, well, I'm hiring him for the day. I'm gonna annoy the heck out of him and ask questions.
Yep.
What's your favorite mic? What's
Yep.
this? And he's like, well, whatever they got. And I was so upset.
Yep.
I
But
was
that,
like, come on, man, throw me a bone.
Yeah.
And now I get it. He was just, 20 years ahead of me.
work with what you have. Tell us about your wife and your kids and all the fun adventures you guys
fun.
have had for the last 20 years.
Oh, God. I've got a 19-year-old daughter with special needs who's in a wheelchair. A very easy kid, a very beautiful, sweet kid. But my wife, who is not the tallest, she tore her rotator cuff lifting my daughter.
That'll do it,
And
because she has to be lifted out of the wheelchair multiple times a day.
multiple times.
Yep.
So this would have been December of 22. She had her shoulder and bicep rebuilt. And the recovery was 12 to 14 months.
Yep.
So Brooklyn came to every single session I did in that span. She flew to Charleston to hang out with Brandon Lake. We did 14-hour orc days.
What an awesome time with her, though. What a great opportunity for her.
And she loved it. And you know what? I was nervous just because I wanted to make sure I was still giving my clients,
Everything.
all of me.
Yep.
Anyway, you started doing these episodes when my wife was recovering.
Yep.
And
A little over a year ago.
yep, so we are all clear now. So I'm
So here we are. We've been buds for
27.
20, golly, darn near 30 years.
Yeah.
Decatur 5-9er Hotel, short final, 1-8 full stop, Decatur.
Well done.
All right, we did it.
You did it.
All right, today's crew car is a 2023 Kia, and this is by far the newest car we've ever had. This is, the crew car. We're gonna drive across the river, go get some barbecue. All right, here we go. Big Bob Gibson's Barbecue has won 10 state championships and 10 world championships with their now famous pork, chicken, and beef products. We were thrilled with the chicken and the brisket and immediately regretted not ordering a piece of their famous pie. They have at least 2 locations in Decatur, Alabama, and they're open 9:30 to 8:30 daily. Oh my gosh, this is barbecue. We are so barbecuing right now.
We are all of the barbecue.
We are crushing barbecue.
This might be championship sauce. Do you feel like a champion?
I'm gonna want judged best barbecue sauce on the Kansas City. This is gonna that's exactly
it's gonna
what
have
I-
some things.
Yeah. A lot of people do the chicken with the white sauce
I don't like. There's a lot of confusion
in the
about-
world today.
That's that's high on the list.
a lot of relative truth.
My truth is no white sauce on chicken,
Turkey.
unless it's Alfredo, and even then, there's some discussions to be had.
Yeah, I've never been an Alfredo fan, but I do with barbecue, turkey, white sauce.
Okay.
If it's good white sauce.
Okay.
Now we're talking. Okay, so you mentioned Yamaha. That was your first real job.
My first real job was out of college. I opened up a little tiny studio in Chico, California, and did records for independent artists and a whole lot of really bad jingles. My college teacher in Chico used to be an LA engineer, and I kind of emerged as one of the bigger nerds in college, and I was pretty good at MIDI back then. So my teacher connected me with 2 different people to teach them how to use computers to program.
Okay.
One of them was Philip, and one of them was Bill Withers. That's how I met Philip, and Philip saw I had some chops and took me over to Yamaha, and I started doing demos for synths and sound design.
That was the launch point. Why did you end up in Nashville?
Well, my wife and I were about to get married, and my wife is from Southern California, and I always knew that we always thought we'd end up back there. We were about to get married, and I was working for Yamaha. Oh,
Holy cow, that was fast.
that was fast.
Heavens to Betsy. That was a great story. Let's eat.
Okay, the brisket's looking pretty good. Fries look good. All right.
Okay, so
Oh my gosh.
is that happy?
Yeah.
I want to hear the end of this story, though. You were saying.
The long and the short of it is, the Yamaha job that I had, I didn't have to live anywhere. I could live anywhere I wanted. It was a contract thing, and I had about a 2-year contract.
Yep.
There was a couple artists that I worked with in Chico, and I did produce the record. And it was a Christian project, and they wanted to enter their songs in a competition called Seminar in the Rockies.
Estes Park.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Is yours good? Are you having a moment? There's a moment.
This is really good.
Pause. They wanted to enter the songs in the competition. They said, well, all 3 writers have to go. And I'm like, I'm getting married in 3 weeks. I'm not, no. And they're like, well, we'll pay for you. I'm like, all right, let's go. And I had one of those moments there where I felt led to do something like crystal clear.
Yeah.
I remember sitting at a park bench, feeling like I'm supposed to move to Nashville. We were...
While you were still in Colorado.
Yep. Had that moment, and I got to a payphone, called my wife, or my fiance, and said, this sounds really weird, but I feel like we're supposed to move to Nashville. And she said, okay, let's go.
Oh.
And that's when I went, okay.
That's
so
big.
We got married, and 3 months later, we moved to Nashville. So that's kind of how I got started. And the footnote to that story is I had 2 years of Yamaha income where I could make connections in Nashville and try to figure out if I fit. When I moved to town, I had Pro Tools. So this is January of '97. Nobody knew what Pro Tools was.
That's right. So
nobody knew what
that
it was.
was a great gateway for you.
And so
everybody needed your services.
They were afraid of Pro Tools at first, but
I was one of them.
You were.
I was one of them.
Autotune came out in November, I think, of '97. So like most people, as engineers get into town, sitting behind, a seasoned vet and learning, and maybe they start off at the studio being a runner, and then they're an assistant. I snuck in the back door. So all of a sudden, I got Pro Tools. I'm tech savvy enough to figure it out, and I'm going to studio tuning vocals, fixing things, eventually convincing producers to record directly to Pro Tools. And next thing I know, I'm in the room with somebody, and they're like, can you engineer for a couple weeks?
Yeah.
Like, oh, I guess I can.
It's funny you say that, because I'm having this memory now of, I had started my career before you came to town, so I was already working some. There was a record I was working on for a band, and I remember I didn't know anything about autotune yet. This is probably 98 or 9. And I remember hiring you to tune there was one vocal in particular that was a challenge, and you fixed it for me. And I remember going, oh. I remember another event where I accidentally recorded over all 24 tracks on an analog machine for about a second, and you came in with a Pro Tools rig and saved me.
I forgot about
that. Yeah, my point in saying all of that is I was becoming accustomed to you as that guy, and then one day I showed up to a session and you were engineering. And turns out you weren't just a mad scientist, you're also a brilliant musician. So, and that, that isn't always the case. So
I'm a musician first and an engineer second. By far.
Well,
we have a lot of mutual friends that I think are much better engineers than I am. But I feel like having a real solid musical talent stack makes me net more valuable.
As an engineer. Because of your ears.
Because I can solve problems not just in the technical domain, but in the musical domain.
The best recording engineers are guys, whether they are actually musical or not, you think of them as another member of the band, because what they're doing is so creative and clever in the way they're shaping the sounds that when it's great, you realize this would not be as good as it is without this specific engineer. But they're brilliant musicians because they hear stuff.
Right.
And you're one of those guys.
I forgot about this. We met the very first session I ever got called to do, which I had no business doing. You, me, McPherson, Sloas.
Jerry McPherson, Jimmy Sloas, holy cow. That's
at the Bennett House. April of '97, when Tom Lonnie scared the living snot out of me.
Yep.
You were a little scary, but not. And then McPherson and Sloas were the opposite. They were just so like effusive and jokey and fun.
The two of them are not intimidating at all.
At all. But
genius
their
musicians.
musicianship is insanely intimidating. And so we did 3 songs. One of them I helped program with Don, and the other 2 I played live on the floor. So anyway, I'll just never forget that day because, I'm so far over my head, and I knew at that moment I can hang as a musician. I know I can hang as a programmer because I'd been programming for so long. I can't hang as a pure player. Like I just knew after that day, I just knew there was just like I could practice all the time. And I can be proficient, I can be good, but I could never be Tim Akers or Jason Webb or Matt Rawlings or you or McPherson. All these guys, like I can't hang this. This works really, really well. This doesn't work that well.
Well, find your lane, and I mean, you found it. You found it.
My lane are multiple lanes. That's the only way I've survived.
There's an extent to which that's true for all of us. I mean, the guys.
I think so. The ones that are still working. Yeah.
We've had to diversify somewhat as the industry has changed. I never thought that I would be working professionally as a recording engineer.
Well, yeah, you're an insane drummer and you're a great engineer.
Well,
and I never saw that coming.
It happened kind of by accident, but the point is, I think diversification has proven really valuable, especially in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
So,
well, this is great brisket.
This is great chicken. This is really good.
Yeah.
I am very happy.
Yeah, I am happy too. I'm going to have to detox my salt intake for the next week. I'm going to go home and I'm going to mainline potassium.
I'm giving the chicken, the brisket looked exceptional, but I'm a bit of a barbecue snob, but I'm going to give this a solid 7.
You're 7?
Plus 8.
7.38?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This chicken is really good.
Is it? Nice.
Yeah.
I'm relatively new to brisket. Like, I never had it. This is embarrassing to say. Until our good friend Randy Poole made some for us. I got to give him the 10.
This then is what? 7, 8?
I'd give it an 8. It was great. It was really tender. It wasn't overly salted.
I like it.
A little fat, but not too much. I'm in.
I smell what you're laying down.
All right, let's do it. Want to go back to Lewisburg?
No, but let's do it.
I know. All good things must come to an end. Oh boy.
Birds.
That is oh boy, oh boy, oh boy.
All right, well that was probably on camera.
Yeah.
Well done.
Oh, it screwed my landing up a little bit, but
Hey.
not horrible. All right, I'd call this a successful.
I think we did it.
Cameras all worked. All right, thumbs up.
Thumbs up.
Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe.